In his influential book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie presents a principle that can transform relationships. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. This simple yet profound idea suggests that negativity is counterproductive. It argues that focusing on faults and expressing disapproval rarely leads to positive change. Instead, it often creates resentment and hinders growth. This principle encourages a shift in perspective, urging individuals to approach interactions with understanding and empathy rather than judgment. Carnegie emphasizes that this principle is not about ignoring problems or accepting wrongdoing. It's about choosing a more effective approach to communication. When we criticize, we put people on the defensive. They become less receptive to our message, no matter how well-intentioned it may be. This defensiveness becomes a barrier to open and honest communication, hindering any possibility of growth or improvement. The power of this principle lies in its simplicity and universality. It applies to all relationships, from personal to professional, whether we're interacting with family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers. Choosing understanding over criticism can dramatically improve the quality of our interactions and foster stronger connections. By embracing this principle, we can create a more positive and productive environment for ourselves and those around us. Criticism often proves to be a futile endeavor. Instead of inspiring positive change, it often solidifies negative behaviors. When individuals are criticized, their natural instinct is to defend themselves. They may justify their actions, minimize their mistakes, or shift blame onto others. This defensive reaction stems from a deeply ingrained human need to protect one's self-image and sense of worth. Carnegie illustrates this point with the example of notorious criminals like Al Capone. Even when faced with overwhelming evidence of their wrongdoings, these individuals often maintain a distorted view of themselves, seeing themselves as victims of circumstance or misunderstanding rather than perpetrators of harm. This example highlights the deeply ingrained human tendency to rationalize our actions and preserve our self-image, even when confronted with undeniable truths. The futility of criticism lies in its inability to penetrate these defensive barriers. When we criticize, we attack a person's sense of self, triggering a natural resistance to change. Instead of acknowledging their flaws and taking responsibility for their actions, individuals become entrenched in their positions, further solidifying the very behaviors we seek to correct. This cycle of criticism and defensiveness creates a toxic dynamic that hinders growth and damages relationships. Abraham Lincoln, a man revered for his leadership and compassion, learned a valuable lesson about the destructive nature of criticism early in his career. As a young politician, Lincoln wrote a scathing letter publicly ridiculing a political opponent. The letter, while intended to be humorous, caused significant damage to his opponent's reputation and created lasting animosity. The fallout from this incident deeply affected Lincoln. He realized the profound impact words can have, particularly when used to inflict pain or humiliation. This experience served as a turning point in his life, leading him to embrace a more empathetic and understanding approach in his interactions with others. Lincoln's transformation highlights the importance of learning from our mistakes. His story serves as a powerful reminder that even the most well-intentioned criticism can have unintended negative consequences. By choosing empathy over judgment, Lincoln became a more effective leader, earning the respect and admiration of those around him. His legacy serves as a testament to the transformative power of understanding and forgiveness. To effectively navigate interpersonal relationships, it is crucial to understand why people resist criticism. This resistance is not simply stubbornness or a refusal to acknowledge faults. It is rooted in fundamental psychological principles that govern human behavior. By understanding these principles, we can approach difficult conversations with greater empathy and increase the likelihood of positive outcomes. Firstly, criticism often triggers a defensive reaction from the ego. The ego, a fundamental aspect of our self-identity, seeks to protect us from emotional pain and preserve a positive self-image. When we are criticized, the ego perceives this as an attack on our sense of worth, leading to a natural instinct to deflect or deny the criticism. This defensive response is often unconscious and automatic, making it difficult to overcome without conscious effort. Secondly, criticism can evoke a deep-seated fear of judgment. Humans are social creatures with an innate desire for acceptance and belonging. Criticism, even when constructive, can trigger feelings of inadequacy and fear of social rejection. This fear can lead individuals to avoid situations or relationships where they feel vulnerable to criticism, hindering personal growth and meaningful connections. Section 5. Choosing understanding over condemnation. Instead of resorting to criticism, Carnegie advocates for a more constructive approach, building understanding. This approach involves shifting our focus from judging others to trying to comprehend their perspectives, motivations, and challenges. By cultivating empathy and seeking to understand the why behind someone's actions, we can create a more compassionate and productive dialogue. When we approach a situation with understanding, we acknowledge that everyone is fighting their own battles and facing their own unique set of challenges. This recognition fosters empathy and allows us to see beyond the surface behavior to the underlying emotions and motivations. By understanding the root cause of a problem, we can address it more effectively and work collaboratively towards a solution. Building understanding requires active listening, patience, and a willingness to see the world through another person's eyes. It means asking clarifying questions, seeking to understand their perspective, and acknowledging their feelings. This approach may not always be easy, but it is essential for building strong, healthy relationships based on mutual respect and trust. Section 6. Practical steps for positive interactions. Applying the principle of understanding over criticism in daily life requires conscious effort and practice. By incorporating specific strategies into our interactions, we can transform our communication patterns and build stronger, more positive relationships. Firstly, before offering criticism, pause and ask yourself if it is necessary and if it will lead to positive change. Often, a moment of reflection reveals that our criticism is driven by our own emotions rather than a genuine desire to help. If the criticism is not crucial, it is often best to let it go. Secondly, reframe your perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects of a situation or person, try to identify their positive qualities and contributions. This shift in focus can help you approach the situation with a more balanced and understanding mindset. Thirdly, communicate with empathy. Instead of pointing out flaws, express your understanding of their perspective and offer support. This approach creates a safe space for open communication and encourages individuals to take responsibility for their actions without feeling attacked. Section 7. Words of wisdom inspiring change. Carnegie's message is reinforced by powerful quotes that encapsulate the essence of his teachings. These words of wisdom serve as reminders of the transformative power of understanding and the futility of criticism. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. This quote highlights the ease with which we resort to negativity and the prevalence of criticism in our daily interactions. It serves as a reminder that choosing understanding requires conscious effort and a willingness to break free from habitual patterns of negativity. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes them strive to justify themselves. This quote emphasizes the counterproductive nature of criticism, highlighting its tendency to trigger defensiveness rather than introspection. It underscores the importance of creating a safe and supportive environment for open communication. Section 8. The transformative power of understanding. Choosing understanding over criticism is not about being passive or accepting wrongdoing. It is about embracing a more effective and compassionate approach to communication. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that true growth comes from a place of empathy and support. When we approach interactions with understanding, we create a ripple effect of positivity. By choosing empathy over judgment, we inspire others to do the same. This shift in perspective can transform relationships, foster personal growth, and create a more harmonious and productive environment. The power of understanding lies in its ability to break down barriers, build bridges, and foster genuine connections. It allows us to see the humanity in others, even when they make mistakes, and to approach challenging situations with compassion and grace. By embracing this principle, we can create a more positive and fulfilling life for ourselves and those around us. Section 9. A call to reflection. As you reflect on the principles discussed in this essay, consider how shifting from criticism to understanding could transform your relationships. How would your interactions with loved ones, colleagues, and even strangers be different if you approached them with empathy and a genuine desire to understand? What would change in your relationships if you replaced criticism with understanding?